very good morning to you, dear students. I hope you are enjoying these lockdown days with your family, parents, and siblings. It is our lesson 14 on education, and it's our last lesson. And topic is ethnicity and educational achievement. What is the aim and objective of this lesson? The objective of this lesson is to understand how racial or cultural ties or differences become hurdles in the way of attaining educational achievement or attainment. What is ethnicity? First, we have to explain this. Ethnicity means an ethnic quality or affiliation resulting from racial or cultural ties or differences in the society. What are some patterns and the trends are basically set in UK after a rigorous studies by different critics. The analysis and the critic both. What is their critic analysis? Just go through it. The first one, the black, Pakistani and the Bangladeshi students do worse. They do not perform well, whereas Indians and Chinese do best. White students are very close to the national average, but this is because they belong to the great majority of the school population. Among black and working class students, girls do better than boys. Whereas among Asians, boys do better than girls. Working class black girls do better than working class white girls. So these are the analysis and the trends and the patterns set after the rigorous study under the sight and the surveillance of the great sociologists. What are the reasons and the factors in the low education attainment because of the ethnicity and the culture and the social differences in society? These are the first one is the external outside school explanations. What is the first one, the factor among external explanations? That is the cultural factors and attainment. What is the first thing in cultural factors and attainment is language. In some Asian households, the home, the English is not their first language, it's their second language, and that's the reason they are not good at it. And it's also analyzed that in Asian families, amongst Asian families, men can speak English fluently, whereas the women, about a fifth of the Pakistani and Bangladeshi, were not fluent. However, the Gilborn and the Mirza point out that the very high attainment of Indian people suggests that having English as an additional language is not a barrier to success because they are good at English language, and that's the reason they are better in educational attainment. Next one is the family factor is very important. What is the attitude, where you are living, your surroundings, your parents' background have a great focus or great importance for especially for kids for educational attainment. Driver and the Ballard found that the South Asian parents have high aspiration for their children's education despite having little formal education themselves. Pilkington believes there is strong evidence that the cohesiveness of the Asian family, where the families are living together with grandparents and father and mother, they have a lot of the advantage, especially for the educational achievement. Whereas the African Caribbean may have family cultures that are not as conducive and supportive to the educational attainment. The next one is internal inside school factors, where the first one is the racism and the underachievement. Recent research by Gilborn and the Udall 2000 had argued that the racism continues to play an important part in disadvantaging ethnic minorities in the educational system. They argue that the expectations held of the black students already set in their mind that they were not able to perform well, comparatively low performance in the school. And that brings a very negative impact on the kids, that they are basically denied access to the sets, groups, and exams that would give them the best chance of the success. However, Gilbon and the Mirza argue that research shows that the African Caribbean people receive greater encouragement to pursue further education than other ethnic groups. Might be their parents' role is there, maybe they have the social and the cultural identities which help them in performing better than any other regional students. Recent research has suggested that white working class students are among the lowest achievers with very low aspirations. Poorer level of the behavior and discipline in white working class schools. Teachers blame this on low levels of the parental support and the negative attitude white working class pupils and the parents have towards the education. They are not taking interest. They're only just keep themselves busy in working in offices and doing jobs. And they reach at evening where they don't have the time, they're tiresome to ask the kids about their studies. By contrast, many ethnic majority parents see education as the route to the upward social mobility. Here is a chance for the working class students where he can upgrade himself and perform better and change their class from working class themselves to the upgrade to the rich class or the ruling class. Blair et al. Show that there is a marked lack of the black role models in the British schools and specific lack of head teachers from ethnic minority groups. In schools, if we visualize in the UK, there are very low in quantity of the people who are performing jobs in the schools. Mostly the white people are there. And that's the reason they don't encourage to the ethnic minority students, and that's the reason they are not performing well in the schools. However, Smith and Temelson found schools to be tolerant of all ethnic groups with a lack of antagonism between students from different ethnic groups. Also, the highly official reports showed that exclusion for Indians, Bangladeshi, and the Chinese students is lower than for white students per 1,000 people. Second, teacher perceptions and expectations. Teachers are having very low expectations towards the black students, and that's the reason they become this. They are not encouraged. They don't take interest in the students in the studies. And that's the reason they get involved in the troublemaking and they become disruptive. Gilbon argues that this labeling is likely to result in a self-fulfilling prophecy in which black students become disruptive and low-achieving. Curriculum bias and the ethnocentrism. What is ethnocentrism? When you teach other students that your culture is superior to them. Mostly in Pakistan and so many other countries, the British syllabi is being taught curriculum, the language is taught, so they have the local people having as inferiority complex, they prey off that one, and that's the reason the students could not able to perform because of having the language problem. So in subjects, whatever they taught, in either that is English literature, history, and the religious education have been accused of being ethnocentric. The things in syllabus, the contents are added which are foreigner, which are European or the English one, and that season the local people, students were not able to perform well. This focus of these subjects have tended to be the achievements of the white European Christian superiority complex people. The national curriculum does not include the history of black people. They don't include of anything of the minorities, the syllabi, their culture, their different aspects of the life are not taught in the subjects of the curriculum, not added. That's the reason the local students can perform than the foreigners one. The national curriculum does not include the history of the black people, and the foreign languages taught in schools are primarily European. Where other languages are taught, these tend to be extracurricular. Process within school, labeling and self-fulfilling prophecy. Many critics say they tend that the classify evaluate students forms of the standard ideal pupil. They label to the student, to the minority student, to the black one and all other Asian students, that they are not the ideal one. The local one are the ideal one. And that's the reason they are discouraged, and that's the reason could not able to perform better in their classes or subject. Teachers perceive students from non-manual backgrounds as closest to their ideal. Those from low working class origins as furthest from this ideal. He concludes the Howard Becker he concludes that the meanings in terms of which students are assessed and evaluated can have significant effects on interaction in the school, in the classroom, and attainment levels in general. So that is the labeling of the self-fulfilling prophecy. These are the main factors where the students were not able to perform better. The black or the Asian students or other region students are not treated well in the schools. In other terms of ethnicity, much research has indicated that the teachers have lower expectations towards the black boys. When they have the low expectations towards, they become the troublemakers and seen as disruptive. And they cannot, through the self-fulfilling prophecy, black students become disruptive and low achieving. Similarly, in terms of the gender, negative teacher labeling for some boys, that for boys don't take interest in the studies if compared to the girls, and they are undermined, and that's the reason their confidence is shattered. For both boys and the girls, where motivation in subject is low and achievement tends to be low. What is the evaluation here for the self-fulfilling prophecy and ethnicity and the labeling factor? The evaluation is the cruder version of the labeling theory, are rather deterministic in suggesting the inevitability of the failure for those with the negative labels attracted to them. If you discourage to the students, they will not perform better, and that's the reason there will be debacle in education attainment. For example, Margaret Fuller found that black girls in her study resisted the attempt to label them as failures by devoting themselves to school work in order to be successful. What is the Marxist vision about that? They also criticize labeling theory for ignoring the wide structures of the power within which labeling takes place. Marxists think that because the lower class is here to serve to the ruling class, so labeling is a part of the education, so they don't admit it. They argue that labels are not merely the result of the teacher's individual prejudices, but stem from the fact that the teachers work in a system that reproduces class division. Next is the organization of the schooling, banding, and the streaming. The schools are banding the lower working class students. They are kept in different sections where the majority of students are there, and where there are not intelligent students there, the weak students are there, all of them, and that's the reason they can't improve themselves and going towards the social mobility. They argue that the labels are not merely the result of the teacher's individual prejudices, but so many other factors are here. So They found that the teachers tend to have lower expectation of working class students, deny them access to high level knowledge, and tend to enter them for low level examination tiers. What is the evaluation for this one? Evaluation Marxists again argue that labeling theory is vague, is not clear in its explanation of the criteria that underpin teacher judgments. Marxists like Althusser argue that labeling is a part of the ideological process in which they have to create the workforce which have to the fuel to the capitalistic system they need for a conformist, the people who obey all the rules and the regulation for the manual labor force. Peter Woods argue that schools are more complex than labeling theory acknowledges. Many students adopt work avoidance strategies without attracting negative teacher judgments. And the working class students, they live in the home where nobody is there for the supervision, for their homework and so many others. So they are inculcating, naturally developing this habit that they are not taking care for their homework or all other assignments given by the teacher. Now the pupil subcultures, class subcultures. Paul Willie's learning to labor, the main focus of the Willie study, he did the study where he selected the group of 12 working class boys in their last 18 months at school and their first few months at work. The lads, as Willies referred to them, formed a friendship grouping which was a part of the counter-school culture opposed to the values espoused by the school. Willies argues that it is the rejection of the school policy which prepares the lads for their role in the workplace. Working class pupils are not forced into the manual labor, but they are able to recognize that their own opportunities are limited. They know that school work will not prepare them for the types of the occupations they are likely to get. Next, Willis claims that the lads realize they are being exploited. They are born here to serve to the people, but they see the little opportunities for changing the situation, and ironically, their own choices mean that they become trapped in some of the most exploitative jobs that capitalism has to offer, because they know that they are born only to serve to the ruling class people. What is the evaluation here? Willis studies has been criticized for having a sample which is far too small. He selected only just the 12 students of the group, which is not the true representation of the specific class. By choosing to study only 12 students, all of them male, his study can't even be reliable or the representative of the school he studied, let alone all the school's pupils. So students, we have discussed ethnicity and then the external factors involved in the lower attainment of the working class students while getting education, and then we discussed the different the internal factors within school in detail. So in the end, here is the homework assignment. How ethnicity, what is the question? How ethnicity exploits the educational attainment for the low working class. Explain and assess the view with solid arguments. In the first question, you will tell that what are the factors in ethnicity which involve in the low attainment for the working class, and then you will explain further and then assess. Then now you will evaluate, you will bring all the arguments which in the favor or against to the topic. Thank you very much, students. If you have any problem, let me know. I will try my best to address your questions. Thank you very much.